The following program is brought to you by Naleo TV, the people's platform.
Keeping our island community informed and secure. Be alert, be aware, and care. Together we can have a safe Hawaii.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Civil Defense Personal Preparedness Podcast. Again, my name is Jesse Seppi, Staff Officer for Hawaii County Civil Defense, and I'm here with Talmadge Magno, the Civil Defense Administrator. In our last episode, we kind of touched on what you would need to consider if you're sheltering in place or creating that emergency plan. And one good part of an emergency plan is having an evacuation kit. So what we have here in front of me is my very own evacuation kit with an assortment of items. I'm just going to kind of discuss on, again, why it's personal to me, why I chose the things I chose, and how it is tailored to my needs. So we like to tell everybody when you evacuate, if you have an evacuation kit, you should kind of consider it like you're going camping. So as you can see, I have a portable stove behind me, which is essential if you're going to be evacuating for a couple of days. You may need some food. I have some canned items, a lot of chicken noodle soup, and other things like that I'll cook on this stovetop right here. I also have my very own sleeping bag. If you're evacuating, you want to make sure you're comfortable. You're probably already going to be in a uncomfortable situation if you're being forced to leave your home. That's one thing I always have. Again, some items that are specific to me. I have a portable power bank, and I have this charged with several days worth of power to power my devices. I have a charger. Again, if you're heading somewhere, maybe you don't have power, I can plug this into the portable power bank and charge my devices. This item right here, I think, is really neat, Talmadge, and we talked about kind of receiving our messages. And there's a lot of ways you can receive messages to your phone, email, if you have the connectivity. But I kind of wanted to share with our viewers another way you can receive emergency alerts on this little thing right here. And for our younger viewers, this is a portable radio. Talmadge, can you talk about how you can receive alerts via this radio in case you're evacuated?
So radios carry what's called the emergency alert system messages. Also, when we do the Everbridge messages, we will record a radio message and push that out as well. So, in addition to a portable transistor radio, remember that each of your vehicles also has a radio. So listening to that, you'll either pick up our pre-recorded message or you'll get the emergency alert message that is sent out.
That's a great point. Every vehicle has a radio in it. And I think that's often overlooked. I know I overlook it myself sometimes. I don't listen to radio, but I have this fancy kind of portable radio right here. And it's got this hand crank. So I'm not going to go into it right now, but you can hear that if you crank it, you receive that transmission. So that's especially good too if you're without any sort of power or that infrastructure, because radio is really resilient. It can withstand a lot of stuff. If you don't have cellular connectivity, you may still be able to receive those radio transmissions. So this is especially good. Of course, I say treat it like you're going camping. I have a headlight. It's pretty bright. And I like to keep my hands free with this kit. So that's why I don't have a traditional flashlight. And that's also why I have my evacuation kit in a large rucksack. A lot of people, I think, you may think you want to gather it all up into maybe a box or something like that. But I think it's important that you have your hands free. Another small thing that, is also very important, even though it's not a very large item, is this USB drive. And Talmadge, you want to go into what important documents may be worth considering putting on a portable USB drive in case you have to evacuate?
There's a few important documents that we all share in common, such as, birth certificates, maybe insurance papers, any legal documents that you have at home. Just think about if you lost everything and you want to, go through the process of, showing identification, policies and so forth. In the major disasters, all that stuff can be rebuilt, but it takes a lot of time.
Right.
It'll be a lot faster if you have copies of your documents, either, hard copies or, like Jesse says, electronically. That way the process can be expedited and you can recover a lot faster.
Right. And I think this goes hand in hand with, preparing for the worst case scenario. If you're over prepared, the worst case is that you don't utilize some of those items in your evacuation kit, right? Your emergency kit. But, if you're underprepared, say it's a sudden onset event and, you lose your home and you don't have those critical documents, insurance paperwork, medical paperwork, things like that, makes the recovery process a lot harder. So this little preparedness item, I think, goes a long way. I wasn't present during the 2018 lava flow, but I know a lot of residents did lose their homes in that flow. And some residents may have had their documents saved, some didn't. And again, that can kind of make that recovery process a little more easy if you have this. Also, another small item that may go a long way is a lighter, in case you need to utilize that, light up your butane stove, or maybe even other people that go to a shelter. They may not have a way to cook their food. And if you're also considering maybe other vulnerable communities and vulnerable populations, you can also assist with that need as well. I also have in front of me, so I have a dog, as you can see. I have a water bowl, I have a leash, and I have his harness. And I keep a spare in my evacuation kit because pets are part of our family too. If we're evacuating, we're going to take them with us in most scenarios that we can, right? In any scenario we can. And it's important that we have this because, if you're heading to a shelter, are the accommodations all going to be there for our pets? Or are we supposed to have that sense of responsibility for ourselves and our animals?
Right. So all the county's shelters are pet friendly. So we do accept pets. We do ask that you bring a carrier for your animal, your pet. The pets will be kept in a separate section from the main group, but our sites are pet friendly.
Right. And so with that, bringing your own leash, harness, I have a separate water supply in my pack that I'm not going to get into for my dog. And I also have some dog food in my pack. So again, it's coming down to thinking of all those kind of vulnerabilities that you may have or needs that you may have. And in this case, I have a special need with my pet. But in preparing, also think about, your neighbors, your kapuna, maybe other people in your community that may need help with some of these items. Maybe if you have extra space, you can have one of those items in there as well. And so with sheltering, Talmadge, can you kind of discuss what we consider when we're opening these shelters and working with the community to get them sheltered?
Sure. We basically look at what the disaster is that we're looking at. If it's a high wind shelter, we'll look for, specific facilities that are built more robust and so forth. Often it is a Department of Education site at the schools. Other than that, it's just for if it's not a wind event, we'll just look for shelter generally in the parks and recreation facilities. But we're looking, for people to get out of the weather. There's restrooms and so forth. People need to consider if they're going to shelters, be prepared to have at least 72 hours worth of equipment, food, maybe water, and so forth. The other thing is that the state recommends 14 days of supplies, for preparedness. We ask that people just have what they can. Understand that 14 days is a lot of quantity, takes a lot of money as well. But so do what you can so that the government can take care of those that don't have anything. The more you can do for yourself, the more we can do for others.
And like Talmadge had mentioned in our last episode, if you visit our civil defense website, we have a product, our Ohana 360 family plan, and it contains a checklist of items, many of which I have displayed here on this desk. So if you want to increase your preparedness, go ahead, visit our website, and you can take a look at that product. I got quite a bit of stuff out on the table and a bunch more stuff that I didn't, break out to display. But I didn't acquire this all at once. I kind of built it up over time. And again, I made it unique to my needs with the water. You know, I have 3 days of water for myself and my wife, as well as my dog. You see that it's a 1 gallon bottle. We recommend at least having a gallon per day. So again, I have a bunch more stuff in there that I'm not going to break out, but I have up to 8 gallons, you know, if I'm gone for 3 days for myself, my wife, and my dog. So it's doing as much as you can with what you got. And we understand everybody's situation is different. But again, that little bit of preparedness will go a long way.
Aloha, I'm Denise Leitonen with Hawaii Police Department, and welcome to another episode of Police Profiles. Joining me today is Captain Royland Valera and Community Policing Officer Justin Cabating with our South Kohala District. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And, you know, we're going to be talking about the DARE program, something that's been around for decades here in Hawaii. Captain, what can you tell us? What does DARE stand for? What's it about?
Well, the word DARE is an acronym, and it covers the title, which is the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program. And DARE has been in Hawaii since the late 1980s. And what it is it's classified as a drug prevention program, but in reality, what it is a decision-making program. It teaches our students in our schools how to make good choices.
What grades is it geared towards?
Well, nationally, it does go from kindergarten to high school, but here on the Big Island, we do elementary and middle schools.
And you do this in the South Kohala area?
We do. And in fact, all of the districts in the Big Island, we provide the curriculum to schools. Of course, resource availability, it's based on our availability. And it also is based on whether or not the schools have time for us with their curriculum.
And how has the program changed over the years? Because the world was a different place in the 1980s.
Yeah, so in 1983, the Los Angeles Unified School District came up with a program to address a lot of drugs in their community. And they came up with the DARE program. And the idea was that they wanted uniformed police officers to go into schools to talk to students. And back then, it was really lecture-based. And I don't know if you remember, but I remember way back when, if I was in 5th grade, I didn't want to be lectured. So the effectiveness of the program at the time, because it was new, it was good. But as the years changed, more science was involved in the curriculum. And so it has changed from a lecture-based program, which was 17 weeks at the time, to more of a...
That's a long time.
It is a long time. But it has changed into a shorter 10-week program with different types of activities, presentations, group work, individual work, working in pairs. And it's more, the police officer now plays more of a role of a facilitator during the 45 to 50-minute session.
And that's where you come into play, right, Officer Cabating?
Yes.
So what does the outreach look like, and what do you do?
So
and
when I first got trained in 2022, you know, I jumped and I got a hold of pretty much all the schools and offered them there. So I did teach at Waimea Elementary, Waikoloa Elementary, Kanuoko Aina, and I was fortunate enough to reach out to North Kohala Elementary and get their middle school students. But just like the captain said, it's a 10-lesson program, but I like to reserve at least maybe 12 to 13 weeks because I like to do a review. And there's a lot of activities. There's videos that we go through, and we act out some of the scenarios with the kids so that they can be more part of the scenario too.
So what kind of activities do you have them do?
So, for instance, one of the lessons is called Risk and Consequences. So, you know, we act out some scenarios in the book, and the students get really involved. You know, should I bring this to school? Should I be doing this? And we talk about tobacco and alcohol, but more vapes nowadays, and what kind of consequences come along with that. Not just from the school, but from the parents, and then of course if we have to get involved. So we have that conversation in class and get them thinking about that kind of stuff.
And how has this changed behavior over the years?
Well, you know, I think if you were to ask former DARE students about the program and what they remember, a good percentage will remember their DARE officer and participating in these activities in classes. And, like I said, it's a decision-making program. It teaches them how to make decisions. And we feel that this is what the students need at this age because, you need to make these important decisions for, a later outcome.
So that it's not just applicable to drugs, but to crime. It covers a lot of bases, it sounds like.
Yes.
What's some of the feedback that you get from the students? You're the one in there every day with the kids. What are you hearing from them?
Oh, yeah. I don't only see them in school, I see them outside in the community as well. And they recognize me out of my uniform. Because like Captain Valera said, when I teach in my full uniform. And just the first lesson, my first day with the students, we'll just go over my police uniform and you'd be surprised how much questions I get. And that's why I try to reserve more time than the 10 weeks allotted in the 10 lessons. But these students recognize me. I could be at the beach. I could be shopping at Target. And they'll call me out, Officer Justin. And then I get to meet the parents at the same time. And then they explain who I am. And then I usually let the parents know I'm their dare officer. But I think it leaves a lasting impression with the kids.
Now, how does this differ from, say, a school resource officer? So wouldn't the school resource officer do this? Because I know you're a community policing officer. So there's some very fine lines that maybe members of the public aren't aware of there.
Well, we have 8 school resource officers island-wide, and of course we have way more than 8 schools. And in some districts where there are no school resource officers, we have trained our community police officers to teach their curriculum.
Gotcha.
So in this case, Officer Cabating is a community police officer who is DARE certified, and he is able to go and address those schools that don't have a school resource officer.
Gotcha. Now, you said it's a 10-week program. Do you do it multiple times through the year, or you're doing 10 weeks at one school, 10 weeks at another school, 10 weeks at because there's only 52 weeks a year.
Yeah. So being a community officer, I'm not in the schools 100% of my time. So I do take it 1 week at a time. So for instance, Monday and Fridays, I'm at Kohala, middle school and elementary. So I do 1 week, usually one lesson, and then I take that 10 weeks. Right now, we're going to start lesson 8, which is we talk about bullying as well. So all the different types of bullying. So we cover that aspect too, not just about, drug resistance, but decision making.
And that's a critical topic these days. I know our website has a lot of tips for both parents and teens, how to combat online bullying, cyberbullying, sextortion, that sort of thing, because we're unfortunately seeing an uptick on that.
Absolutely.
So now, Captain, you said that DARE has been around for a few decades now.
Yes.
Are there any events coming up this month?
Well, April 17th, we're celebrating the 42nd anniversary of the DARE program.
Wow.
DARE's been around for 42 years. Here in the state of Hawaii, DARE has been here for 40 years. So it's a big year for us here in Hawaii and the DARE program. And we're going to be celebrating the 40 years at an event called DARE Day, which we have every year. And it's a celebration for all of the students who have gone through the DARE curriculum. And it's kind of like a graduation for them. It's a fun day filled of activities, lunch, all kinds of things to do. And we partner with many different agencies to put this program together.
So what are some of the agencies that will be there, and what's this event give me the details?
Well, Friends of First Responders is going to be there partnering with us. The Hawaii Army National Guard, Department of Land and Natural Resource Officer is going to be there. Our counter-drug counterparts are also going to be there helping us. And a lot of community other members, Civil Air Patrol is going to be there presenting the colors for us at our ceremony. So a lot of people are coming out to make this happen in Kona.
And where's it going to be? What day?
So the Kona event, the Big Island is so big. So the West Hawaii schools will go to the Kona DARE Day at the Kekuokalani Gym, Kailua Gym at Old Airport Park. And that's going to be on Friday, April 25. And there's a Hilo event for the East Hawaii schools, which will be held at the Sparky Kawamoto Swim Stadium and Honolulu Complex. And that's going to be on Tuesday, May 20th.
Oh, nice. So about a month apart between the two events. And so what kind of demonstrations are you going to have at the Dare Day?
Well, we normally like to showcase the different sections within our police department. So we will have members of our special response team and their rescue vehicle. We will have the fire department also participating. We have our vice section. We have.
Did they bring their canines?
They will.
People love the canines.
Yes. So we like to show, we put together a scenario so we can feature the different sections, and also the fire department will be participating with us. And I think it's something that the kids really remember. They really remember the scenario, and we take them through also a thought process with the scenario in identifying suspects and being a good witness.
Yeah.
How does one be a good witness?
Be observant. But on top of that, we'll have carnival games for them to play after the scenario. We also have lunch for them. So and they can win prizes at our carnival games. And we'll also have PTA fire. Last year, they got to actually, they had a game where they actually loaded up a fire hose for the kids to,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's April 25th at Old A Airport in Kona, May 20th at the Sparky Kawamoto facility. And then you can find out more information about our Dare Day program on our website at hawaiipolice.gov. Also, where you can find the information on cyberbullying and sextortion tips for teens. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been really fun having you. I know you traveled a good distance to come here and be in the studio in person today, and I really appreciate your time and you sharing your mana'o with the keiki of our island.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of Police Profiles. Join me next month when we feature another aspect of Hawaii Police Department. Aloha.
I am Officer Kaipo Aurello of the Hawaiʻi Police Department, and I'm here to ask for your assistance in locating individuals who you'll see in just a moment. Our department depends on you to work with us by acting as our eyes and ears out in the community. If you provide an anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers, you may be eligible for a reward of up to $1,000. Crime Stoppers is a volunteer program run by ordinary citizens like you who want to keep our community safe. Here's how it works. First, get a code. Next, use your code to track your status and then collect your reward. It's that easy. Here are some individuals we need your help in locating. Please call if you know their whereabouts.
We are looking for 42-year-old George David Summers, who is wanted on one outstanding warrant with a total bail of $183,000. Summers is described as having a slender build, is 6 feet 1 inch tall, 175 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He also has a tattoo of Together Forever on his right wrist. Summers is known to frequent the Waimea, Kauai, and Waikoloa regions. Help us locate 45-year-old Sky Joseph Kamai Lewis, who is wanted on one outstanding warrant with a total bail amount of $2,000. Lewis is described as having an average build, 5 feet 11 inches tall, 190 pounds, with short black hair and brown eyes. He also has a noticeable tattoo on his left forearm. Lewis' last known address was in the Waimea area, and he is known to frequent the Waimea, Waikoloa Village, and Kona areas. South Kohala officers are asking the public to be on the lookout for 56-year-old William Swayze, who is wanted on one outstanding warrant with a total bail of $20,000. He has an average build, is 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighs around 175 pounds, with blonde hair and brown eyes. Swayze's last known address is in Waikoloa Village, and he is known to frequent the Waikoloa Village and Waimea areas. We are looking for 42-year-old Cole Race Joaquin, who is wanted for a $50,000 arrest warrant. Race Joaquin is 5 feet 7 inches tall, 150 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He is known to frequent the Puna, Hamakua, and Ka'u districts. Help us locate 39-year-old Casey Huia Sam, who has 2 outstanding warrants totaling $35,000. Known to frequent the Honoka'a and Waimea areas, Huia Sam is 5 feet 10 inches tall, 190 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Let us know if you know the whereabouts of 31-year-old Clyde Loa Jr., who is wanted for 2 outstanding warrants totaling $100,000, an arrest warrant for escape, and also a Paris warrant. Loa Jr. escaped from Halenani Correctional Facility in Hilo on December 13, 2024, and should be considered armed and dangerous. He is described as 5 feet 9 inches tall, 225 pounds, with long wavy black hair, uncut facial hair, and brown eyes. He is known to frequent the Hilo, Puna, and Ka'u areas. Be on the lookout for 33-year-old Gary John Castro of Hilo, who is wanted for 3 outstanding warrants and questioning in several other cases. Castro is considered armed and dangerous. He is described as 5 feet 10 inches tall, 200 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. Area 1 Criminal Investigation Section detectives are requesting the public's assistance in locating 26-year-old Trey Austin Tomlinson of Kea'au, who is wanted on an outstanding arrest warrant. He is described as 5 feet 8 inches tall with blue eyes and brown hair. Call us if you know the whereabouts of 31-year-old Kapono Labrador, who is wanted on a criminal arrest warrant issued by the Hawaii Paroling Authority with no bail. Labrador is 5 feet 5 inches tall, 160 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He is known to frequent the Hilo area. Please help us locate 46-year-old Christopher Souza, who is wanted on a criminal arrest warrant totaling $800, as well as for questioning in a felony agricultural theft investigation. Souza is 5 feet 9 inches tall, 170 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He is believed to be in the Hilo area. Police are looking for 40-year-old Keone Texera, who is wanted on 4 criminal arrest warrants totaling $12,500. Texera is 5 feet 8 inches tall, 210 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He is believed to be in the Hilo area. Call us if you know the whereabouts of 30-year-old Kennedy Wilson, who is wanted for 1 outstanding warrant and 1 APB. Wilson is described as having a large build, 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, with short blonde hair and blue eyes. He is known to frequent the Lower Puna area. Hawaii Police Department requests your assistance in locating 38-year-old Keali'io Kekai Kamanu, who is wanted for 2 outstanding warrants and 3 APB alerts. Kamanu is described as having a medium build, 5 feet 11 inches tall, 180 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He frequents Lower Puna, mostly the Kalapana and Leilani Estates areas. Call us if you know the whereabouts of 28-year-old Andrew Amon, who is wanted for 4 bench warrants totaling $20,100, as well as for questioning in connection with other criminal investigations. Amon is 5 feet 5 inches tall, 130 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He is known to frequent the Hawaiian Ocean View Estates area in Ocean View. Help us locate 28-year-old Johnson Heckers, who is wanted on 3 outstanding warrants totaling $7,100, as well as for questioning in multiple stolen vehicle investigations. He is known to reside in the Ocean View area and is described as 5 feet 7 inches tall, 150 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes.
As always, we want to thank you for your assistance in helping us to locate these individuals. Tipsters who prefer to remain anonymous may call the Island-wide Crime Stoppers number at 808-961-8300 and may be eligible for a reward of up to $1,000. Crime Stoppers does not record calls or use caller ID. Hawaiʻi Island's Most Wanted is a project of Crime Stoppers Hilo Inc., which is a partnership of the business community, the media, and the police. It was inspired by the national TV show America's Most Wanted. I am Officer Aurello of the Hawaii Police Department. Mahalo for watching.